What up, everybody? Welcome back to K-Studio. My name is Zach, and in this video we're answering that question of how to convert a list to a string in Python. So without further ado, let's hop right in and start coding. What up, everybody? So today I'm going to show you 4 different methods that you can use to convert lists to strings. And each method has their different benefits and why you would use one method over the other. All methods can do convert a list to a string, except for you might have to have some tweaking depending on the method that you're using, as well as depending on what's in the string. And we'll touch on that here in a second as we discuss using these 2 lists right here. And as you can see, the 2 lists all just have strings in them right now, and then one has a number in it as well. And the first method is essentially going to be using just the straight up loops. This is kind of the most basic, most naive approach that you can take, but it can work and get stuff done. But essentially all it does is I have an output string, and then I loop through each item in the list, and then I just add the item to the string. And so when you run, you get this concatenated my name is Jim. And if I rerun this, you'll see, hey, that's what I'm getting. But what happens if we add something with a number in it or something like that? And if I uncomment this here, what you'll see is this loops through, we're going to run into some issues. And the issue being is you cannot concatenate into a string. So how would we fix this? Well, essentially, to use this same method with the loops, you just have to make sure everything that you're adding becomes a string. And you can wrap the string constructor around an item and it should convert it. So if we run this, we should see, hey, look, my name is Jim with a 20 at the end. And you could play with this. Like if you wanted a space, you could essentially just do like, you could add a space here, like, or a comma. We'll add a comma here. And if I run this now, what you'll see is my name is Jim, and it is essentially the string. And I can show you that it's a string by either telling you the output, or I can do this repr command. And this will give, like, when it goes here to this print, it'll show, like, when it goes into this print, it'll show you with a string with the actual quotation marks. And so you can see that's a good thing that we did that, because, hey, look, it appended a space. It appended a space at the very beginning, and maybe that's not what you want. So again, you'd have to tweak this to match exactly what you want. So let's talk about method number 2 and using joins. So method number 2 is using the joins, and unlike method number 1 with the loops, the syntax for a join is a lot smaller. Essentially, you just have to do this minus the repr command. But essentially, take this off real quick. You just do your, whatever delimiter you want. So you can have no delimiter, so it's going to be squished like we saw before, or you can have a space. And if we run this, and I make sure all that's uncommented, and we run this, and we get method number 1, that's how everything looked. Method number 2, it's because I added this space in here, and with adding that space, it makes it so everything in that list is separated by a space. And I could change this up, and I could say this could be a comma, and I could rerun this, and you'll see that everything is separated. Everything in that list is separated by a comma. And if we again rewrap the repr command around it, you'll see where the string end lies, where you can do something like, hey, like that, and now you see it's just a string. That list that was now just a bunch of everything, now it's just a comma separated value string, right? But what happens if we add a number to it? So again, like in the last one, we saw that we had to add, to do the numbers, we essentially had to add this string around each item, right? Or the string around each item to essentially handle the numbers. Well, how do you do that with the join? Because if I do this here and I run it with the join, like, will it work? And the answer is no, because it's again that same issue with you're trying to take a string and add it to even join will internally just add that string to the list. And when you have an integer, it can't add an integer in a string without like converting that integer to a string. So how do you do that? Well, that's where actually method number 3 comes in with list comprehension. So with list comprehension, the way that we handle this issue with join with the numbers is we just use that list comprehension and the ability to loop through, basically recreate or create a new list using a for loop inside of the brackets, and now we'll just make every item in there a string. So if I were to run this, so make sure that this part's coming out, and then we rerun both of these, you'll see that now with using the list comprehension, it was able to get that same result here. And again, I can wrap this with repr, just so you can see where the quotes will lie as where the endpoints of the string are. And you'll see that matches the same input or the same output as using the for loop. But again, this is using one line of code versus this. Now this can be converted to use list comprehension as well. But essentially, like, you can use, that's just, if you don't know, list comprehension or join, like loops, by far, just use a loop. You can do it. But if you know some more of these advanced techniques with like list comprehension and join, you can essentially just one line of code, convert your your list to a string, and you can even utilize that list comprehension if you know there's different data types in it to convert all those different things to a string. Well, what if we took this one step further and basically without having to loop through all, use the list comprehension and, make sure we, go through each item in the list and it's a string. What if we use something that like a map that can do this kind of internally? So let's start talking about a map and what it can provide when converting a list to a string. Hey, I just want to jump in real quick, say thank you so much for watching the video so far. If it's providing you value, please click that like button below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so we can learn more about software development and programming. And well, speaking of programming, let's get right back to it. So like I mentioned, the map, that's it. So this is all you have to do for a map, because what a map will do is essentially ask for the data type that you want to make sure everything within a list is, like what you want it to be at the data type, I guess. And then you give it your list, and then as it goes through, it'll basically do this, what this list comprehension will do, and convert everything to, that string. So if I run this down below, make sure I uncomment this. If we just go for both of them, let's just go for both, make sure it works. Again, using both the lists that one has just strings and one has a number. If we run this, what you're going to see is, hey, it worked just fine. And I can give you the repr command around this again, so you can see the endpoints of where that string ends, and you can see that it matches the loop, it matches the list comprehension. And the nice thing about doing this too is I can also do like commas here, and I can make, now everything has got commas and a space. And so that's the nice thing about maps and join. Like if you can, basically using a map and a join is like combining, these two is like combining these two methods all in one to produce this. You can utilize the benefit of join where I can add delimiters, I can add hey, everything needs to be, separated by an exclamation point. If I do this, now everything is, separated by an exclamation point. Or hey, I just want this to actually be just a sentence, so do that. That's the power of using join, is you can provide those delimiters as you want, and then the ability to use a map is saying, hey, I want everything of this that's in this list to become a string, whether or not, for instance, say you have something like 1, 2, 3. This is now a list that contains strings, a number, and an internal list. And what's going to happen here is essentially because we are in the loop function, because we're wrapping the list item, so we're wrapping this list with string, it's going to convert it to the string version with the brackets of the list. And by doing, saying, hey, like we did here, that's the same thing above, but doing this map saying, hey, everything inside this list, LST, needs to be a list or a string, and then put it separated by a space, you're going to end up with results like this. And that's the power of using join, map, or using, join and list comprehension, and stuff like that. And so those are 4 different methods that you can use, and the different use cases that you may need to choose one over the other, whether it's be, hey, I need to convert everything to a string, or hey, I know everything's a string, so I just need to pass in my list, and I want to separate everything by a certain delimiter, and stuff like that. And so I would say play with this, see what works best for the programs that you're messing with right now, or the reason why you clicked on this video is to see how you can convert a list to a string. Play with it, see which one you like best. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, and I will answer them there, and or depending on how complicated it is, I may just create a whole new video based upon that comment. So let me know what you think, and until next time, have a great rest of your day and keep on programming.